It is Indie Pop on New Age Insiders Network. We are the last mark standing. Your boy, Damian Salty G, and the heel Trina, the gallivanting, jet flying, Lear, whatever, son of a gun, heel Trina herself, the Marky Smart. What up, Tree?
Hi guys. It's the best
So
intro ever.
basically,
Yeah.
we had a very interesting weekend as we tend to do as the last mark standing. You can listen to us on lastmarkstanding.com. We both were at CZW this past weekend, this past Saturday in Voorhees, New Jersey. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it was my first time seeing CZW live. I'd seen them predominantly in YouTube and I like streaming services. So for me, it
Mm-hmm.
was rather interesting because I had all these preconceived notions about CZW. I was thinking like bootleg ECW, so I had those misconceptions going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Suffice to say, some weren't as bad as I thought, but
Right.
then there were times where I thought the gratuitous violence in certain matches was not for me.
Right.
Uh, so before I go into a diatribe about how I felt about it,
Mm-hmm.
I want to pick your brain first. Firstly, we went to WSU, and we'll get to that after that. But
Mm-hmm.
your first impression of CZW?
Uh, Pretty much what happens when I watch them on, like the live feed or iPay-per-views. I pretty much am only interested in the matches with the people I know, which tends to be the first half of the card. Or maybe, like a match or two before the main event. And then I typically don't watch the main event because I don't know any of the guys that are typically in the main event. And that's exactly what happened. I think with this show on Saturday, pretty much everybody I knew wrestled before the intermission.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Riddle and Starr were the very last people right before intermission, and that's pretty much where it ended in terms of people that I know personally. And so I really wasn't that invested in the second half of the show. Um, and so I don't know, it kind of played out. And I've said this before about CZW to you guys. Um, you don't have to watch the whole thing, like you don't have to be super invested in one organization or promotion. Like if you get invested in certain wrestlers and you follow them from promotion to promotion, that's fine. Like you're still supporting the wrestlers, you're still supporting the promotion. If you leave it, at intermission, you still gave them money.
Right.
So I still support CZW. DJ Hyde, who runs it, I support him, but just most of the time the second half of the card like isn't for me, and that is where a lot of the more violent matches are, by the way.
Yeah, and I noticed that. I noticed toward the latter portion of the event,
Mm-hmm.
it just got really violent for almost no reason. Like I didn't
Yeah.
want to say it was no reason, but
Yeah.
it was
It kind of
almost
felt
as
like
if
it.
they followed the blueprint of good wrestling, best technical wrestling. Then it
Right.
was intermission. Then it was blood and violence, and violence. And
Yeah.
for me, that's a no go.
Mm-hmm.
For the salty one, that is not something I'm fond of. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
37-year-old Damien is not 19-year-old Damien.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ECW when I was 19, 20 is a lot different how I view it now versus when I viewed it back then.
Mm-hmm.
So just before I even get into how I really felt, just
Mm-hmm.
getting to the venue was an adventure
Yeah.
uh, because the trek down from Queens, New York down to Voorhees was fun, and that was great. But trying to find where the event was being held, like you and I, we sauntered through multiple pathways
Right.
of this arena, and it's the Flyers skate zone, and we
Uh-huh.
had to go through the ice skating rink, freeze our
Yeah.
patucuses off,
Yeah.
just to go into the small little, I guess, enclosed boxy type area,
Yeah.
and then there was people at the desk taking ticket orders. I'm thinking, yep, this is not a shindy, but this is definitely something I would have to do to go to an independent wrestling event.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, there are places, Battle Club Pro, we had to walk through the dressing room to get to the bathroom.
That's still awesome.
Oh.
I'm sorry. That's still, for me, that was awesome.
No, that is so weird to me. I'm just like, I'm not looking, I'm not looking, I'm not looking. And I like accidentally make eye contact with somebody, and I was like, I was not trying to look at you, I swear. Like,
Like, no, no, no. I
I
wasn't
just want
trying
to
to
go
make
to the
contact.
bathroom.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
pee. Leave me alone.
Oh God.
But no, to your earlier point about Matt Riddle and David Starr being the match
Yeah.
of the night, and I've gone on record on Twitter multiple times at Dare to
Yeah.
be Damian to say if they had a best of 7, I
Uh-huh.
would travel to all those matches or as many as I could because
Right.
their in-ring chemistry was just freaking amazing.
Hmm.
And ironically enough, we were sitting next to David Starr's dad,
I know, right?
which we didn't realize. And for those that don't know, Hokai, our resident Team Flan GIF master,
Yeah.
came with us, and we didn't realize that we were literally sitting next to David Starr's father until he tells us because we were talking a
Yeah.
story. We were telling a story out loud, and then he
Yeah.
just references, "Oh yeah, that's my son," like a proud papa. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, oh."
Oh yeah, right. Exactly.
Because if you
Exactly.
remember our face treater, we were just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh.
oh, we're sorry.
Yeah. Well, because we were joking with each other. I was joking with you. I love David Starr, but I was making a joke to you, and so I was like yelling at you for cheering for him or what. I was just playing. I was
Yeah.
joking around, but I think to his father, it looked like that I really hated him,
Mm-hmm.
and that I was telling other people to not cheer for him. So that didn't look great. So it's a little weird.
Yeah, I thought it
I
was hilarious that his dad was just like, well, why don't you like my son? It's like,
Right, exactly. It's like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, no, actually, that's not
don't
the
worry about
case.
it. We were like, don't worry about it. We like your son. Your son's a great
Yeah,
wrestler. You
it's a
know.
joke. I don't know. And you'll encounter that, like at a lot of these shows, like at Rockstar Pro, Clayton Gaines, he just won the belt. His mom is like one of the loudest fans there every single week.
Mhm.
So people know people's parents. I mean, MJF just like flew over to London and his mom took a picture with him, like at the airport or something like that. Like, so they're parents that are
Right.
involved here.
Yeah.
So you might sit next to a parent every once in a while.
So watch what you say about a wrestler, okay? Because their
Yeah.
parent might be listening, and you don't want to have that awkward face like I did, where I just
Right.
looked like I committed a mortal sin and I felt horrible. But I'd also be remiss to not mention the CZW event was actually a tribute show
Uh-huh.
to one of their longtime fans, Kevin Whackpacker Hogan. I didn't know much about him until I read it, and he was a super fan of
Uh-huh.
CZW. He was part of the framework and the fabric that made up CZW. And to see all the wrestlers and everyone in the ring, and DJ Hyde cuts this opening promo, invites his parents into the ring. It was nice, and he was synonymous with having a rubber chicken. So apparently, the rubber chicken was a major tool used throughout the show, and I thought it was very touching. And as a wrestling fan, and as a person who invests themselves with pro wrestling on a personal level, that's something Trina and myself could really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was good to be at a tribute show. I had never been at one before,
Mm-hmm.
so this was one of those first, inclinations for me, and just thinking, wow, this is what
Yeah.
happens when people band together as fans, even for 5 minutes, to appreciate what a person brought. Because
Right.
we all bring our own thing to the show, So, and it goes to something you said a long time ago, Trina, where it's our job as fans to help get the wrestlers over and not ourselves over. So
Right.
that's what I took from it. I took that this man was someone that would help get wrestlers over
Right.
and not himself.
Yeah. I mean, it's great, like getting to know a lot of these guys and then getting to know other fans to see how they view fans who really invest themselves and their time into putting people over. Like the wrestlers notice that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've talked about this in a while. I talked about it before previously in our show and maybe in Depop earlier, but like they know the super fans. Like the wrestlers know if you support them, if you're always putting them over or defending them online or like going to all their shows, like they know who you are.
Right.
Don't think that you're just some anonymous person. Not only do they know who you are, they'll defend you. Because I have met somebody briefly and it was like a weird encounter and I've mentioned it to a wrestler. I'll be like, oh, I just had a weird encounter with this person. And that wrestler will be like, no, that person's a really nice person. Like maybe it was just weird, like I've seen wrestlers defend fans. So like supporting your favorite wrestlers is meaningful, not just to yourself, but to the wrestlers themselves, for sure. So don't think that you're just like meaningless anonymous fan. The wrestlers really know the ones who are supporting them, for sure.
Right. And that's what we do as fans, you and I, when we go to shows. So that's that's not new to us, but who knows, maybe, when the time comes and me and Trina, go on to the big ring in the sky, maybe we'll have our own tribute show.
I know, right?
Done for us, maybe they'll have the last Mark Standing show, and
this is kind of morbid.
It's what we do, Trina. It's who we are.
I mean, it's true. We get all weird like this.
Yeah, we get all weird like this. But honestly, the card in and of itself was interesting. Jay Christ, the artist known as Jay Christ, going up against one of our personal favorites in Shane Strickland. And the intro, which you missed, to Jay Christ was
right.
rather interesting because there were pop guns and confetti, and then him and Shane wrestled on the confetti, and it just looked really funky. I looked like I was watching Kool-Aid in the ring. And if you get a chance to watch the artist known as Jay Christ, just appreciate the artistry, to borrow that term,
exactly,
and the gimmick that he's putting forth, because
he won't even let you say gimmick. It's not a gimmick. If you asked him about his gimmick,
I'm sure he'd probably slap you with his glove. Yeah,
you say it's life. It's not a gimmick. So
yeah, and this wasn't the first time I saw Shane Strickland either. We saw him at Battle Club Pro, and they had a really good opening bout, and it reached my normal, expectations of a curtain jerker. It got the crowd up, and this is where I started to become a little disenfranchised with some of the fan base of CZW. And if you follow Last Mark Standing, you know how we like to, I don't want to say police fandom, but it's more like, dude or girl, come on now.
Yeah, exactly.
You're an adult. Right. Don't be that person.
Right.
Another good match for me was MJF making his long-awaited CZW debut, and in pure MJF fashion, he hit under the ring. I don't know off the top of my head the name of the tag team that pretty much destroyed Billy Danvers, but they destroyed him in a pre-match. I want to say that Billy Danvers was like Eugene. I think that was a good, reasonable facsimile. It was Eugene and basically MJF hiding under the ring to avoid getting his ass kicked, and he goes and gets the 3 count, and he poses and brags, and that's kind of what he does. And he's a friend of ours and a friend of the show, and good for him.
Yeah. Look, I mean, he's over. Whatever he's doing, people know his name, and he's over. And there's many different ways to get over in this business. We talk about this on Last Mark Standing all the time. It's not purely talent, athleticism, skill. I mean, there is an artistry to it. There is a level of improv and acting and all that different stuff. And so there are different ways to get over, and MJF is getting over in a very different way, like not really wrestling. So, and same thing with Jake. Jake has built this character over the last couple of months. Like that entrance that you saw on Saturday, which I missed, was not what he was doing 2 months ago. He was still, he was building the artist character life. It's like he was talking about in social media. And so he's developed it over time. Like, and he'll post pictures of like, when he's like making new gear for his character, like just new stuff. And like, he just keeps enveloping like new ways to come into this character, to live the life, to live the gimmick. As people say. And so same thing with MJF. I think maybe he started, with the acting and the little skits and things like that, and like noticed that like, okay, maybe I'm not wrestling that much, but I'm getting over with these skits and the way I'm acting and my character work and development. And so you just have to follow that path. Like whatever takes you there, sometimes you got to go.
You got to use what works, man.
Right. Even if it's not the traditional way.
Yeah. And for me, that's exactly what I see when I see him. I see a guy who is totally into the gimmick and the persona, to the point where I don't know where the real person ends
Yeah.
and begins, and
Wait, are we talking about Jay, Chris, or MJF? Both of them.
both of them.
Both
It's basically all of them, because
It is. It
that
is.
was the prevailing factor I got a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
I didn't want to assume who was the gimmick and who was the person, so I kind of just treated
Right.
everybody the same.
Yeah.
Because I got to meet I got to meet a lot of the talent and have conversations with them, but I didn't know if I was being worked or
Right.
or if it was a legitimate conversation. So I think that's dedication to the craft. That's
Yeah.
something where not many people can do. MJF tried to get me to buy another one of his T-shirts when I had to call him out and be like, dude, you
Right.
got my whole crew to buy your T-shirts. Like, it ain't gonna work on me this time.
Right.
Like, stop it.
Well, let me give you some insider baseball information here. Friend of the show, Mike Killam, who works for WrestleZone, has over the years actually become very good friends with Broken Matt Hardy. And he tells me that every interaction they have has been as Broken Matt Hardy. Like, he'll get texts from him at 3 a.m. as Broken Matt Hardy. Like, they do interviews, they talk, like, just shoot conversations. He's never seen Matt any other way, and they've known each other now for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know, like, just take that into consideration. Like, if Matt Hardy is living this gimmick like 24/7, this is what these guys got to do, even if they're at this level. Like, this,
and they do
this
it well.
The way that, this is how they get to the top. This is how they get to the part where everything is so natural. You know what I mean? It's supposed to feel and look natural. And I think you have to sort of like live the gimmick if that's going to be the case.
Oh, I agree with you completely. Even us, for instance, we
don't know.
We don't know if we're living the gimmick. Sometimes we have identity crises. We don't know who Trina and Damon are and where heel Trina and salty Damian G start. It's like,
oh God,
we don't know. And that's the fun of it. And I think, and I can say this, by doing this show, I'm able to find who I am and where I fit in this whole crux of, and I'm not going to bore you guys with the schematics of it all, but I'm trying to figure out what my gimmick is in terms of this show and my career as a broadcaster. And I can appreciate the work that these men and women do. It's dedication to the craft, man. It's like a great actor. They get method, they get so into it, they don't know where the line is. And Daniel Day-Lewis does stuff like that all the time. Robert Downey Jr., Philip Seymour Hoffman before he passed away. That is just the artist doing what the artist does.
Well, let me tell you something funny. This just came to my mind as you're talking about this. I think sometimes we can even be too good of fans that we trick the wrestlers, because you guys know I'm a big fan of Sami Callihan, big fan of Dave Chris, and they sort of had a falling out at IWA. And then I was on social media talking about how sad I was about it. Like, these guys are best friends. This is terrible. Like, they're breaking up. And then after the show, in all seriousness, Sami came up to me. He's like, that's fake, right? Like, and I was like, yeah. But he really for a minute, he thought that I thought they were really fighting.
Right.
Like, totally dead serious. Like, Sami and I talk, like, it wasn't him joking around. Like, he was concerned that I was really worried that they had a real fight. And so it's like, Jesus, like, we're all just like working each other. Like, what's happening right now? What's real life? I have no idea. Yeah.
So I agree with you completely. It's one of those things where the magic gets kept alive, with these kinds of situations. But I digress. The rest of the card, there was a couple of things that just stood out to me, and I'll go through them. I got to see Homicide for the first time in a long time live, and I appreciated the fact that he was working a intergender tag match with Mercedes Martinez, who we saw earlier in the day at WSU. And they went up against the Bastion Booger reject known as Greg Excellent. If you don't know who Bastion Booger is, look it up. And this guy, Greg Excellent, is probably the 6'3" version or the 6'6" version of Bastion Booger. So it was an intergender tag match with him and Chrissy Rivera, friend of Rant with Ant on this network. And they had a very I will say,
Interesting.
yeah, that's the word I was exactly going to use. It was an
Yeah.
interesting intergender tag match. It wasn't like anything I had ever seen. It was a little
Yeah.
bit more comedic than I thought I would see, especially with Homicide involved. But
Hmm.
I enjoyed the parts where Chrissy was trying to chop Homicide, and he just has this face like, really? Like, we're still doing this? To the point where I scream out, that didn't work out the first time. You might want to stop. You
Yeah.
know, and
it
it was funny. It was funny to see. And,
it was well done.
yeah, it was well done. It was well worked. Homicide is a true pro. He's been doing this
Yeah.
for so many years now. He knows how to work a crowd. He knows how to work a match. Same thing with Mercedes Martinez. She's been rocking and rolling with WSU since probably their inception, and she's
Hmm.
their women's champion. Their promotions champ. So
Hmm.
it was a good match for what it was. It was like a popcorn match. Uh,
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Dave Christ, defeating Ricky Shane Page, much to your delight in rather quick fashion for reasons I won't
Yeah.
mention. But
Yeah.
it was fast and quick, and he got in, he got out, and that was it.
God.
And he's a really interesting cat to talk to off air, outside the ring. A lot of different. I didn't know we were similar in age actually, until
Yeah.
you referenced it earlier.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance to see Dave
Wait,
Christ,
hang on, hang on. You guys have the same birthday.
we're both born
Do
on
you know?
November 10th.
Yes.
Get out of here.
No, seriously. I swear to God. So Dave's 34. Dave and I are the
Mhm.
same age, but you guys have the same birthday. Like
Sweet.
November 10th last year. Like Dave's like, it's my birthday. I'm like, it's Damian's birthday. I'm like, how is this possible? The both of you have the same birthday. Like, because I know you in very different capacities. Like
Mhm.
I know him as like a friend and a wrestler. You're like friend, like broadcaster partner. Like it's weird. Like you both know me really well, but in different
Mhm.
ways. And you're like exactly alike somehow. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I
Uh,
got that from him. Like when we talk, I kind of get the fact that mentally we're similar.
yeah, right.
And we're
This is
very,
creeping me out. Right? I'm
yeah,
creeped
we're
out right
very,
now.
we can be snarky, but at the same time, we can be very thought provoking, and it just
Yeah,
depends on who gets us. We could
right.
be smart asses, we
Exactly.
can be intelligent. It just depends on which person we're talking to.
My mind is exploding right now. Oh my God. I forgot that you didn't know.
No, I
Um,
didn't know.
yeah, you guys have exactly the same birthday. You're just a couple years apart. Um, yeah. And so clearly there's a lot of similarities with you two because like you have a mutual
Yeah.
between you two. And it's weird. It's
Well,
creeping me out.
beside our last mark standing hats, we do have a mutual,
Yeah.
because we had that weird mirror moment during intermission where it's like, hey, I like your hat. I like your hat too. Weird, you know.
I don't know.
So a little bit of humor for the indie pop
Yeah.
listeners out there. Do yourself a
Jeez.
favor and follow Jake and Dave Christ, and they're good dudes. I mean, in ring, they're not good dudes. They're supposed to be bad dudes, but
Yeah.
they're good
Killers.
dudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
OI4K. Ohio is for killers. And thank you for teaching me acronyms, Trina, because I'd be racking my brain on trying to figure these damn things out. As we stated earlier, the match before intermission was the match of the night where we had David Starr going up against Matt Riddle, who we interviewed for the show, and that might be posted at some point on both shows. But good match. A lot of chain wrestling, a lot of stuff I like, a lot of strong style. MLJ with the intros was
Yes.
just amazing,
Right.
and we've I've said this before. David Starr is the man with 4,000 nicknames, and then to play on the words,
Yeah.
Matt Riddle gets Emil to announce it with bro being in the
Yeah.
acronym for everything. The most romantic, the most brotacular.
Right.
And that set the stage for a good match, and it was actually a title unification match. If I'm
Yes.
correct, yes.
Yes.
West Side Extreme Wrestling and the Progress Wrestling
Yes.
title.
Yes.
That was a great match, Trina. It's one of the best I've seen so far in 2017. A lot of hard hitting action. I didn't know which way it was going to go. People who were there didn't like the screw job ending. I kind of didn't like it either, but it had to be done. If
Right.
you know
It
how a
sets
match
it up.
breaks down, if you know how a
Yeah.
match breaks down, it had to be done that way.
Right. And for as much as we are praising this match, what you guys will hear later when we do put the interview out, they'd never wrestled before.
Nope.
So this is the first time, and the chemistry in the ring was fantastic. And these are guys with similar backgrounds. You know, they both wrestled high school, college, things like that. And you saw that in the ring. It really played itself out beautifully.
Right. And it just goes to show the amount of technical expertise both men had, their striking ability. This is probably like the 5th time I've seen Riddle and the 3rd time I've seen David Starr. I love them both. I appreciate both their works. I will tell everyone, if you get a chance to see them in your hometown, you need to check them out. It'll be a matter of time before Matt Riddle is the what did he say he was going to be? He was going to be the Chris Hero.
Yes,
of the new Chris Hero of 2017.
Yes, exactly.
Where he dominates the indies and he's the man.
Right.
But also keep an eye out for David Starr, because he has a really interesting charisma about him. And I didn't notice it at first. I just thought he was playing a heel douche. But there's something to his charisma in the ring and the way he operates. And I see Bobby Roode. I don't know if you agree with that, but I see a lot of Bobby Roode with David Starr. I see Matt Riddle as a way better version of Ken Shamrock in the ring.
Oof.
You know, if we're gonna do the MMA thing,
yeah,
I think he's way better suited for wrestling than Ken Shamrock ever was.
Oh yeah.
But that was the energy expounder, because by the time that match was over, we were exhausted. I freaking needed a cigarette. I felt like I came on myself, you know.
Yeah, it was a great match. Really, really great match. I didn't even expect those guys to have such great chemistry, and you felt it like right off the bat. From the second that MLJ did the intro for Matt Riddle, copying David Starr's intro, I was like, this is going to be good. And, you know, I know these guys pretty well outside of the ring, and I've seen them both wrestle many, many times. And so I knew that I was going to see a good match, but I didn't expect for them to have such chemistry. Because like they know each other, they're friends. But you know, there are certain guys who work together all the time. And you know, they hang out all together, like all the time. And these guys, this is the first time they've wrestled, and it's crazy. If you guys get a chance to see the match, they've never wrestled before, and you'd think that these guys have been wrestling each other like for years.
Yeah,
the match that they put on.
And I want the audience to tweet us and let us know what they thought, if they were in the audience or if they know who we're talking about. Tweet some good memories to pretty much to share with the rest of the audience of Indie Pop. You could tweet me at Dare to Be Damian, Trina at the Marky Smark, our show at Last Mark Podcast. I wanna move forward. So anything else stood out for you in terms of CZW? Because I know one thing did for me, but I want to hear your perspective.
You know, I don't know. I've been on the road for a while. I've been on the road for a while, and I think for me, Saturday after CZW, I was burned out. I've been on the road for a while. I've been following wrestlers around for a while, and I know what injuries people have. I know what their schedules are coming up, and it was just a little difficult for me Saturday night. And if you saw my tweets and stuff, you know, like I'm just kind of exhausted. You know, and that's my takeaway from this. It wasn't CZW specific. I think it's just where CZW sort of fell in my schedule, and where it is on wrestler schedules. I mean, we're mid-February at this point. A lot of people started out hot, and then some people broke their legs, you know, so it's just crazy stuff. You know, this is sort of the time where I feel like if you had a hot start, like it should be picking up now. And if it's not, then you feel like something's off. Or, you know, like a Matt Cross, like he had a hot start and then he broke his leg.
Yeah.
You know, and it's stuff like that. And so guys are sort of hitting their stride here. You know, like Dave Chris are going to PWG on Saturday. You know, like they're hitting certain points where they have a road to Mania as well as the WWE. A lot of these guys, you know, like there are guys that are still looking to be booked for Mania weekend. That are, you know, guys that I see on a weekly basis that are hoping to just get booked at one or two shows. And, you know, they're tagging along with people. So, I mean, people are trying to start the year off right. And some are injured and they have a lot of stuff going on. And I'm burned out, you know, like I saw like my first show, I think of the year was like January 2nd or 3rd, something like that. Like, and it's been going since then. I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted seeing everybody just being exhausted and tired and hurt. Like, that's my takeaway.
Okay. And the last thing I'll say about CZW, other than I don't like gratuitous violence, is Joey Janela is a crazy SOB.
Yeah. He's dedicated to his craft, though.
But he's still freaking nuts. Man. Did you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to say this for the crowd. There was a table spot that he had to climb a ladder onto, up to, and then he did a dive on a table through his opponent, and then there were cinder blocks used later in the match. Yeah. And I just thought this mofo was crazy as hell.
I know. It was one of those situations, and I've talked about this with Sammy versus Pentagon Jr., that I had to, like, when I saw Joey, I was like, can I just give you a hug? Because I thought you died like 3 times. Like, I thought I watched you die 3 separate times in that match. You know, like, I like, you sort of want to make sure that they're whole. You know what I mean? It's really weird. Like, and I don't even know Joey that well. We're just like becoming friends. And I saw him and I was like, I just need to give you a hug right now, because like the spot for me that freaked me out was when he hit like the mat. Like, I don't know, they were diving off something and he just hit the mat really awkwardly.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I was just like, if he's not knocked out, I don't know, you know? So, and then the table and the cinder blocks afterwards. So, I mean, you know, if I am watching a second half of a CZW card, I'll tell you guys this. Some of my favorites do wrestle in that second half occasionally. So you will get Joey Janela. He's crazy. Joey Janela is insane. So he will be in those matches. Sammy occasionally obviously does these matches. You know, so I think Sammy and Dave had a match at CZW a month or 2 ago where they were like the second to last match, and they just pretty much killed each other. So, I mean, you know, follow the wrestlers you like. They're going to be in matches that you don't like sometimes. You know, like we don't all have to like the same kinds of wrestling, but these guys have to put in the work and work different kinds of shows and things like that to just make money and get noticed. So, you know, poor Joey Janela, he said to me verbatim, I killed myself for these people. That's his thing.
And I told you off air, I thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because killing yourself, I don't want to say killing yourself for the enjoyment of the fans is bad, but in reality, it freaking is, man. You got to worry about yourself first. The fans will understand if you're hurt. You need to heal up a bit, but you got to cut down sometimes, man, on the crazy spots. Look what the Hardys did. You know, as they got older, they realized, man, I can't be doing swanton bombs off ladders anymore. So they ramped up the character work, and now they're like hams. You know, they're essentially hamming up everything they do. So when I saw that, I mean, I've asked this on Twitter. If anyone has reaction shots from me, Hokai, and Trina, because there was a lot. There was a lot of holy fucking shit. Part of my language. There was a lot of me spazzing in my chair. Trina getting up and having emotional breakdowns, and Hokai just being smooth and just looking like, whoa.
Looking at us like we're psychos.
Hokai's like, oh man, you guys are freaking nuts, you know, and you know, whereas he's the Don of the GIF, so he's all like, yeah, that's good, yeah, that's cool.
He's seen everything. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So that was our takeaway from CZW, and the funny part is we get to do it all again this upcoming weekend.
Oh my god, it'll be a safer show.
Yeah, it'll be a safer show. Alton, Illinois. For Glory Pro, the debut show of Glory Pro. One of us is flying down.
God.
One of us is flying down to go watch this event because I'm an idiot. And the other one of us is going to be the ring announcer for Glory Pro's first show.
Right. And I keep inviting people. I don't know what my problem is. Like, I'm nervous about this and I'm terrified, but yet I'm still promoting the show as much as I can. So
yes, you are.
I don't know. I'm a crazy person too.
Yeah. There are still tickets available at Glory Pro 2017 on Twitter. It's a promotion run by Michael Elgin of New Japan and Ring of Honor fame. This card is coming along very nicely. There's going to be a lot of favorites of mine, of Trina's, of Rick Castle's, who's going to the show with me. It's going to be a last mark standing palooza, as we have said before. A lot of people we know from our show are going to be in attendance, and we're going to cheer on my partner and friend. And I'm going to be marking out when you do the MLJ
Oh my
style
God.
ring announcements. You know, I want you to use as many adjectives and descriptors and verbs and eloquent speak as possible,
Ugh.
but no pressure.
I mean, I'm just gonna say the names and the weights and the hometowns. Like, I am not MLJ. Like, that is a talented man, super talented man. This is just my debut. Like, I figure as long as I say the names right and the hometowns correctly, and I don't mess up the weights, like, that's a job well done. So, but the bar is not high. There aren't a lot of female ring announcers in the indies, if at all, in wrestling. So, Big Mike is a friend. He thought I would be great at it. The wrestlers, for some reason, think I'm going to be great at it. So we'll see what happens. And hopefully they say they're going to have me back, but we'll see how this goes. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. For instance, there's a bit of a civil war going between you and I with, Danny Adams going up against All Ego,
Yeah.
Ethan Page. And, we're trying to pull Gabby in the middle of it all. And then Tyson Dukes of the CWC is going to be in attendance. He's going to be wrestling. And the main event is the aforementioned Matthew Riddle against Michael Elgin. And to be quite honest, I've never seen them two go at it.
Yeah,
have you?
I know. No, this is a first time ever match. Yeah.
Oh, I am so looking forward to that.
Right. Mike wanted it to be a first time ever match for the main event or special attraction event. And so, yeah, like when he was trying to develop the card, he put it out there. He's like, who would you like to see me wrestle who I've never wrestled before? And Riddle just, that was the name that came to the top of the list, and it worked out perfectly. And I mean, this is really a gathering of a wrestling family, because if you follow me on Twitter, I'm a big supporter of Kurt Stallion. I have not seen that guy in 4 months. This is my first time seeing him in a really, really long time, because the last time I saw him was his last match that he wrestled with Big Mike, because he trained with Big Mike right before he went back home to Texas and working promotions down there. And so I saw him once, we became good friends, and I haven't seen him since. So this is my first time seeing Kurt in a really, really long time. And he's coming up, obviously, as to wrestle for Big Mike and all this different stuff. And so there's just a bunch of people that you don't usually see together in one place that are going to be together in one place, which is super cool for wrestling.
I mean, for me, there's going to be so many people that I've heard about from you and from other people that I'm finally going to be able to see, in person. And I'm pumped, and I know you're nervous as fuck, but at the same token, we're going to have the best seats in the house. You'll be ringside and I have front row, and and it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast, and you shouldn't worry, because we're all going to be there supporting you and supporting the product. And I'm looking forward to it, and it's
like the guys don't they're like, mess up all you want, we don't care.
Basically,
like, that's not what I need. Like, I need like a pep talk that says it'll be fine. They're like, nah, whatever, if you mess it up, it's fine. I'm like, come on,
like we don't care.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's the thing. This is a wrestling family. A lot of the guys on the card, almost 90% of the card, probably, I'd say, are Big Mike's former students or current students. So a lot of these guys are our St. Louis area, and then he brought in friends that he's known. He's hoping to bring in friends from Japan for upcoming shows. And so this is a family reunion. It's a family event, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. But at the same time, a little nerve-wracking, because I have to do announcing. That's weird.
How is that weird? You announce here.
It's not the same thing. I'm talking to, it's like, this is where you and me talking, like we talk all the time. I'm gonna have to like get in the ring and be like, from Odessa, Texas, Kurt Stallion. Like, that's so weird to me.
You just did it. Look at that. You just did it.
I know, but it's really, really weird. It's bizarre, because I'm like, I was asking MLJ this weekend for advice, and surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, he gave me totally opposite advice of what other experienced announcers have told me. Like, I told him what they told me, and he was like, no, I'm the opposite, and told me his reasoning for it. And it was sound and valid. And I was like, well, fuck, like, what do I do? Like, who do I listen to? I respect all of these people. I don't know. So we'll see. I plan on feeding off of the energy of the crowd. So I've said it to you guys before, like, whoever's going, like, bring it. Like, don't sit on your hands and just be quiet. Like, if you're happy to be there, then like, show that.
Oh,
And
please. Who are you
yeah,
talking to? You're talking to me here.
I know, but it kind of scares me at the same time. I don't know. God,
See, this is why I love doing a show with you. I love doing multiple shows with you because you spaz, and then
I'm such a spaz.
when you
Yes.
spaz, it's like, come back, Trina. You'll be fine. You'll be
I
fine.
know.
They're there.
I don't know.
They're
So
there.
there's gonna be video, and everybody knows, like, 'cause everyone's like, can't wait to see the video and all this different stuff. God. Whew. Okay.
Anything else you want to say in regards to the event? You want to plug anything?
If you followed my Twitter, I met a new friend, a new first-time wrestler, I guess, and he'll be coming out to Glory Pro. Ryan Good. I went to a Roman Reigns signing on Friday in Kansas City, and he was in line, and I was telling him about the podcast, and he's like, "Oh, I'm wrestling my very first wrestling match on Sunday. You should come." And I mean, you can't turn down an invitation like that. Very first wrestling match. I mean, come on, like how many people can you say you've seen their first wrestling match ever? And so he was wrestling for KCXW, which is pretty much the only indie left here in Kansas City. And it was his team. It was the first match of the night. It was a dark match even. And they put him against one of the top guys in the company. I saw it and I was just like, what? Like the Marksman? The Marksman just wrestled for the title like in December. So he did really well. Like, thank God, like it sucks sometimes when you are friends with people who are artists. Because sometimes their work isn't great, and it's hard to, I don't know, be genuine about supporting them. But Ryan's a natural, and that's what his nickname is. I think he has a football background. He's just a natural athlete, and it translated well to wrestling. He just started in October training.
What?
So he's, like 3 months. So if you see any of the footage that I put of him, that's 3 months of training. Yeah.
Some people just got it. Some people just good.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Exactly. And I said this online. It's like wrestling is a bit like dancing. Like you either have rhythm or you don't. And it's very evident in wrestling when the guys are, their bodies, like they feel it, like they feel what move comes next and all this different stuff. And it doesn't look choreographed. It doesn't look staged. Like it just is very smooth and fluid. And that's how Ryan looks in the ring after, 3 or 4 months of training. And I invited him to come to Glory Pro and meet some of the wrestlers out there and meet Big Mike. He's just young, like raw talent. And I'm really excited that I met him, and he's on social media now. I'm putting him over. So check him out. He's a good kid.
Yeah. And by the way, weren't you unofficially made someone's publicist this past weekend?
Mr. MJF, Maxwell, told me, he told both of us that the reason why he unofficially or officially made me his publicist is because he's not great with grammar sometimes.
He doesn't grasp the your thing.
Right, exactly. Or like some questions are a little too complex. And so he'd rather have someone else deal with it. And in true MJF fashion, he just passed it on to me and declared that I was his publicist. And I answered the question, and everything went fine. And so, this kid MJF's really living the gimmick here. It's fantastic. And everything just works, like that's the beauty in watching independent wrestlers grow, is that like, it just works. 3 months of training. Yeah. Okay. I'll go in the ring and like put on a decent match. What the hell?
Listen, I could do 3,000 years of training and I wouldn't be able to put together a decent match. So
yeah,
some people got it, man.
So hopefully, if you're coming to Glory Pro, maybe you'll meet Ryan. Hopefully he can make it out here.
Sweet. Big shout out to everyone here at New Age Insiders. Big shout out to our friends at Vacated Title. If you've been following our Twitter page and both our pages, we are in cahoots with Vacated Title. They are doing a free t-shirt giveaway, so look them up on Twitter. You can retweet and like, and you will be in the runnings for a free, yes, I said free, Vacated Title ring logo t-shirt. They make good products. They designed our logos.
Right. I don't even think we should just say we're in cahoots. I mean, he's pretty much our designer of choice.
He is our designer of choice. I was trying to be, politically correct here.
Yeah. But I don't even think it matters. I mean, at this point, everybody knows that he's my guy. So like wrestlers pretty much ended up referring him to each other because I referred him to them in the first place. And so like, he just became the de facto guy. And if you do come to Glory Pro or you see footage from Glory Pro this Sunday, a lot of the wrestlers' t-shirts were designed by Vacated Title. probably a good 80%. So FYI.
They design my merch, so
Yeah.
I have no complaints about that. So if I got no complaints and Trina's got no complaints and all these wrestlers have no complaints, what excuse do you guys have?
Right. Exactly. Damn.
And you could tweet them at vacated title. They do custom orders. They're making our soon to be made buffet club t-shirts that I hope will be in production soon. And if you don't know what the
Right.
buffet club is, it's basically a rip off the Bullet Club, but it's us eating food. I have given myself the name of Taco Hashi, the taco pimp, as a spin off of the Tokyo pimp, Yujiro Takahashi. So that's my thing because I like tacos. So yeah, Vacated Title does good work, man. So follow them on Twitter, retweet, like, look at the contest. I'll have more at the end of the show in a pre-recorded, I want to say live read, so I don't sound like a complete fool. But follow them on Twitter. They do good work. Everyone at New Age Insiders, we love you all. Big shout out to Ant, who got to meet Shinsuke Nakamura, him and Phil. We missed out on both of them, and I promised them at some point we're going to get together and do some mega podcast with a lot of the NI guys. So we'll see you Sunday at Glory Pro. Anything else, Trina?
No, that's it. I'm terrified.
No, don't be terrified. You'll be just fine. And again, tweet us at The Last Mark Podcast, myself at Dare to be Damian, Trina at The Marky Smart. We love you. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.